Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95, the Savior. So, I want to talk to you guys about Gaijin Ghost Seating, as I like to call it. So, if you're not familiar with this phenomenon, so to speak, or terminology, Gaijin Ghost Seating is essentially when a foreigner gets on the train and takes a seat. Japanese people will either quickly move away from you, said foreigner, or they will avoid sitting next to you at all costs. So there's a lot of different reasons as to why they claim to do this, but let me help you get a better picture of how this happens. So in most situations, there is the case of, you being on a crowded train. There's lots of people, and Japanese people, even if they're only going to be on the train for 1 to 2 stops, so just a few minutes, they will generally desperately fight over these seats. So not literally physically fight, but they'll try to rush and grab the seat first. They will rush over to the seat, and once they make eye contact with you or notice, oh, there's a foreigner there, they will decide to stand. And generally they will not stand anywhere near you, but they will stay by the door or across from you. They don't even want to be anywhere near you, even with standing. Now, this is harder for foreigners to understand, I think, more so maybe for white people, because generally they come from European countries, so you don't normally notice these little subliminal, shady things that people do. And secondly, if you live in a city and on a train line that is extremely busy and that has a lot of foreigners, such as pretty much anywhere in Tokyo. Now, of course, if you go further out to Tokyo, such as the suburban-like areas, you have probably experienced this yourself. But in general, if you live, for example, if you're taking the Shinjuku, line in Tokyo, you are most certainly going to have people sitting next to you. The Yamanato line, anything like that, you're probably never going to experience ghost seating. But if you take a line that is not a part of the Tokyo Metro, or that is, but you know what I mean, you get what I'm saying at this point. It's harder for you to experience if you're not in a busy area, if you are in a busy, crowded area, versus for those of us that live in an area that might be busy, because pretty much all train stations here are in Japan. Japan is overpopulated, but not as busy as their Tokyo counterparts or other, known busy cities. So how this happens is, once again, they'll avoid sitting next to you. If you sit next to them, sometimes they will, quickly get up and move over, or they will try to move themselves as far away from you as possible. Now, this is a very debatable, controversial thing, and in my opinion, it's straight out racist. There's no going around it. The excuses that Japanese people give for why they do this is mainly because they claim that they believe foreigners stink. They say that they smell bad. Don't get me wrong, I can definitely attest to this. I've seen foreigners on the train that stink. Even my job, when I worked at the Maid Cafe, they specifically told me, to make sure that I wear deodorant, and they were like, you're an American, probably don't have to worry, but a lot of the European girls don't. I'm not getting into that. My boss was actually a white woman who said this, but I'm not going to argue with you guys about this. I'm just saying what was said. However, in my experience, yes, personally, I have experienced most of the must issues with people that happen to be European or Indian, but that's a whole nother topic. Mind you, in Japan, Japanese people don't normally wear deodorant in the first place. They shower a lot regularly, and they do tend to drink teas and other things like that. I personally don't think they naturally have a need for deodorant. They are kind of, I won't say sweat-proof, but for the most part, stink-proof. Yes, Japanese people can sweat. Yes, they do stink. There's a whole list of problems, but I will say that they do so much less than their, non-Japanese counterparts. I do not know all the science behind this, and no, not all Japanese people have these super healthy diets, despite what you see on TV. I do personally believe that it has something to do with genetics and a combination of possibly their lifestyle. I personally stopped wearing deodorant for the most part while I'm here. I do carry around wet wipes in case I do sweat, so that I'm not stinking up the place. But that's another story. So anyway, their excuse is that foreigners stink. Number 2, that they don't want to have to speak English to you. They're afraid that you're going to talk to them, ask them questions, etc. So they don't want to sit next to you because they're afraid they're going to have to help you and feel embarrassed because of their lack of English skills. And number 3, there's 4 reasons. Number 3, they don't want to sit next to you because you're big. You take up space, less, space, uncomfortable, etc. So to them, it makes more sense to stand and be uncomfortable and get thrown around by the train. And then the 4th reason is they think that you are scary and or dangerous. They don't trust you. They're afraid that you're going to get violent and go crazy and whatnot. Now, to the Japanese people, once again, in their irrational minds, they feel like this is totally normal and okay. They don't see it as prejudice. They don't see it as racist, collective punishment, anything like that. To them, it is a very logical reason. Why would I want to sit next to somebody who is fat and be squished? Why would I want to sit next to somebody who smells bad? Why do I want to sit next to somebody who's probably going to need my help? And why do I want to sit next to someone who might become angry and violent with me? These all sound super obvious, but do you not realize this is super racist thinking? Like, imagine if you came to my country in America and people on the train decided, oh my god, I do not want to sit next to people that look, I don't want to sit next to Chinese people. Let's put it like that. That hurts them so bad. Japanese people hate being called Chinese or compared to any other Asian. They want to believe in their minds that they look so different from everybody else and that everybody should be able to tell they're Japanese from a mile away. I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to say is, okay, so they notice. They know what it's like to be treated the same. They don't like to be stereotyped, but they love to do it to other people. So you would not feel okay with my country, America, if in America when you got on the train, everyone did not just look at you, because I know that you'll get looks, obviously being Asian. Lots of people in America have yellow fever and are weeboos and obsessed with trying to make Asian friends and or date them or have sex and marry them. But in the same sense, we're not going, for the most part, you're not going to find somebody that's, or a group of people. This is a, common thing. It's not just one person where we will say like, oh, Asian people, stink. I don't want, the Chinese person next to me, Chinese meaning Japanese, person next to me, to pull a cat out of their lunchbox and, have people thinking that I eat cats and dogs too and, just smelling really bad. Or what if they, try to ask me if I know how to use chopsticks? That's exactly what that sounds like. It's super racist, super stereotypical, super ignorant. But once again, this is their minds. For them, it's like, oh, it makes sense. I believe that most foreigners smell bad. Most foreigners are fatter than us. Most foreigners are X, Y, and Z. So I would not sit next to them. And what they don't realize is that this is not just you doing it. Everyone is doing it. So it's actually really embarrassing for you as the foreigner if you, whether you notice it or not. I know a lot of foreigners, especially those that have been here for a long time, they're like, oh, toughen up, buttercup, but there's bigger fish to fry, there's other problems, you're so sensitive, blah, blah, blah. They want to kiss Japan's butt, and they want to, basically turn a blind eye to any other problems within this country. But this is something that's so simple that can easily be solved, and it's wrong. And if you are a foreigner and you pretend like you don't see this and you don't relate and you can't understand, you're stupid, and you're the real weeboo here. But that's another story. So, anyway, it's just really, annoying and, embarrassing. Because for you on the train, now that one person decided not to sit next to you, the other people around you can clearly see that everyone's avoiding sitting next to you. If there's an open seat or two, there might be a seat on both sides of you. Even if it's just one side, it's very, very clear that everyone has avoided that seat despite how crowded the train is. So now what it does is it reinforces the stereotype. So now people that might have been willing to sit there, they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't sit there. Maybe she does stink. Maybe, she's too fat. She's taking up space. Personally, this has not happened to me a million times, but it has happened more than enough and more times than I can probably count. However, for the most part, I live in a very busy area, and so there isn't a lot of opportunity, but I'm sure if I did not, I would personally experience this a lot more. I will also say that for foreigners who are legitimately really fat, you will definitely have this happen to you a lot more often, and foreigners who have very dark skin. You will be seen as scary, particularly for children, and when it comes to women, you will be seen as, a rapist or, some type of gangbanger, gangster type thing. Super racist, super wrong. Again, as I've said before in other videos, Japan does have racism. It's just not the same way that it is in America. Their racism is subliminal. It's unintentional, but it doesn't change the fact that it's wrong, prejudice, and racist. You don't have to mean to be racist to be. The difference between racism and discriminatory acts in Japan versus in America is that in America, people are educated and they know, but they choose to not understand. They don't care. They want to intimidate you. They want to make you uncomfortable. In Japan, it comes out of ignorance. They don't know any better. They refuse to learn any better. And they believe that because they saw this on TV, or because they heard from this other person, or they sat next to a foreigner before and this happened before, they're trying to protect themselves and reserve their culture. Doesn't change the fact that it's wrong, but my point is that it's for very different reasons. In America, racism, once again, is a matter of trying to suppress. They want you to feel inferior. They want to openly let you know that you are not better than white people or whatever group of people. Whereas in Japan, they want you to believe that, oh, everyone's being treated the same, everything's fine, like what? Oh, it's just one person type thing. But in actuality, they have brainwashed and fed their people to all believe the same thing, to think that all Chinese people are loud ghetto tourists, that all Korean people are thieving liars, that all Africans are, going to drug and, rape and cheat and scam people, etc. That's the way that people are unfortunately viewed here when it comes to white guys. There's a lot of bars that don't let foreigners come in, specifically because of white men. All of these and other, English speakers in particular, and some other European countries too, they are known to get into bar fights and be loud and obnoxious. And obviously they do not want to have to pay for any damages or have the police showing up at their place, etc. So instead of saying, okay, let's make rules, let's have security, let's, monitor how many drinks people have. Instead, for Japan, it makes more sense to say, okay, no foreigners at all. We don't care where you come from, what you look like, you're not allowed. So that's that. Getting off subject, not going to get into, the levels of racism and the different things like that. I simply wanted to explain what ghost seating is. So Gaijin Ghost Seating is basically when Japanese people pretend as though there is another foreigner sitting in the seat next to you, and they simply do not sit there. Your stinky, fat Gaijin ghost now has that seat. Nobody wants to sit next to you. Generally, somebody will eventually break, the curse or the spell, and they will willingly sit there, either because they're really tired, have a lot of bags, or they have no idea that this is the thing that goes on. For the most part, old people tend to not really care. They'll be grateful to have a seat. You actually notice this more so with younger people, believe it or not. The same people that, are so internationalized, watch Netflix, listen to American music, they have no idea how disrespectful, rude, and embarrassing this is for you as a foreigner when this does happen. Because now, all eyes are on you. Everyone can see that you're the foreigner. Everyone can see there's an empty seat right there and they want to sit down, but they just don't want to sit next to you because they don't want to smell like you, they don't want to be smushed by you, and their crap excuse that they don't want to talk to you. Which I want to quickly knock that excuse out the door, out the window, whatever you want to call it, squash it. Japanese people don't normally have foreigners walk up to them and ask them for help in the first place. And when you do ask them for help, you get two types of responses. Either they, are going to just speak to you in Japanese, or they will, give you very, vague or incorrect advice. They're never going to sit there and pull out a map and go through a whole lot of crap for you. Yes, it does happen sometimes. I've had people, really go all out to help me as far as walking to my destination. But for the most part, Japanese people do not do all of that stuff for you. They'll give you, a quick answer or whatever, and they go on about themselves. Also, I have never, in the entire time I've been here, seen a foreigner try to chat up a Japanese person on the train, ask them for advice, help, or where to get off, etc. It is a super racist and stupid excuse. So, that is that. That is what Gaijin Ghost Seating is. It happens a ton. It happens here every day. It happens on busy trains, but it's less likely to happen on a train that is packed. Like the type of trains where they have to push everybody on. This generally happens on a train in which there is enough people for each seat, and maybe about 5 to 10 standers in the car. These are the type of trains in which you will notice. Obviously, if you're on an empty train, it'd be kind of creepy if somebody chooses to sit directly next to you when there's so much space. But it's when the train is, crowded, it's packed, clearly people want a seat, but they're avoiding sitting down simply because you are there. Doesn't matter if you're attractive or not. It's happened to me a ton of times, and people literally walk up to me and be like, oh my god, you look like Rihanna, and, go all out with compliments to me, both online and in person. So it has nothing to do with, being unattractive. I've never had a kid call me scary or anyone make fun of my complexion or anything like that, but it still happens simply because I am a foreigner. I'm not some 200 plus, pound, whatever chick. It's just what they do. They can see that I am not Japanese, and so I am treated otherwise. So, that is that. That's the phenomenon of Gaijin Ghost Seating. So, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me or you can leave a comment down below. Otherwise, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you will watch another video. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Bye.